Welcome everyone to Beyond the Rack, sponsored by Darkside Strength, Strength Through Adaptability, hosted at the amazing Cool City Brewery right here in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. I'm your host, Brian Gallagher, bringing the podcast back after a bit of a hiatus with a special guest today. A woman drawn to physical challenge and exploration, a graduate of Manitowoc Lincoln High School, Rack-Colleen Burke, a wrestling fanatic growing up, which helped form a competitive foundation, a United States Air Force veteran. Rack-Colleen pursued CrossFit after her 4-year enlistment, training competitively under a coach at Training Think Tank, that was hard for me to say, in Georgia, while earning her bachelor's degree in exercise science from Lakeland University. She's a CrossFit Level 1 and Level 2 certified, USAW weightlifting certified, Training Think Tank professional coaching mentorship, and currently working towards her pregnancy and postpartum athleticism certification. Her primary career is an individual coach at Training Think Tank remotely.
Yes, remotely.
Doing individualized programming for competitive and non-competitive athletes. Thanks, Colleen, for doing this today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And
Absolutely.
Thanks for the great intro.
Yeah, that was kind of hard to get to. There's a lot of certifications. So born and raised in Manitowoc.
Yes.
Tell us about your life growing up from like 3-year-old Colleen.
Oh man. So growing up, I feel like I was very lucky to grow up by Lake Michigan. I never appreciated having a small town living until I moved away, like in the Air Force, and then like lived out of state for a while. So I think just having the lake was nice to have a lot of memories, like playing by the lake. And then
Sure.
I was also lucky enough to be born in a time in a generation where there still wasn't a ton of phone usage then.
Yeah.
So like I'd have like my whole bike gang of friends come like on their bikes and we'd go biking around, like around town and stuff like that. I also have 3 older brothers.
Okay.
So, and they're like 9+ years older than me. So there's a pretty big gap between us. So I feel like they had a lot of influence on like some of my interests now and kind of like growing up as a tomboy. And 2 of them specifically were really interested, or they were really involved with BMX biking, which I feel like is not a common sport around here, like, or in the Midwest in general. And one of them was like, both of them would get really obsessive about like sport, or like whenever they were involved in something, they gave like 110% effort.
Right. So
one of them got really involved in BMX biking, and they built this whole trail system behind Monroe Elementary School.
Okay.
Like big dirt ramps. I'm talking like all hand dug, like their whole crew would be like morning till evening digging these big ramps. So it was kind of fun to like watch that growing up. And I was a lot younger. I'm like, this is crazy. And they'd be like jumping off these ramps, like doing Superman. I'm talking like flips and just like crazy shit. So it was really fun to see like as a female, because I was like, this is super cool.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like that kind of built my work ethic around sport and like kind of watching them be so involved in that.
Sure. Did they ever compete in BMX?
I know one of my brothers did. Well, I think they like loosely compete. I know my brother Patrick competed a lot in BMX biking, but I was pretty young at the time, so
Sure.
I feel like I was just kind of I don't know, observing, and didn't really know like the ins and outs of like what they did.
Just a bunch of dudes riding bikes.
Yeah, right. Now you just a bunch of dudes riding bikes, and like they kind of let me ride once in a while. I got hit by a bike once.
You did?
Yeah, it was actually, I remember this very vividly. We were behind Monroe School, and my mom and dad were there, and I was pretty young. I had to be like 4 or 5. And my mom was like, get over here, because she was worried I was going to get hit. So she had me like run across, and like I ran the other way. And then my brother's friend was like coming full speed on his BMX bike, and we just collided.
Did you break anything?
No, I just cried hard. Like I got way more hurt than I did.
At least nothing got broken.
Yeah, it was fine.
So growing up, what was your earliest introduction to sport?
Okay,
whatever sport it was.
Okay, so many. I don't even know if like I know the first one, because my parents got us so involved in so many. I mean, like I know ice skating, skiing, swimming were like the first 3 for sure.
Downhill skiing or like
downhill skiing? Okay. My dad's from Vermont originally, so I think that's where like some of the downhill skiing kind of came into play. So those were like some of the first, and then I think my mom put me in dance, but like I don't even have recollection of that. I just have myself in some like bright sparkly red shoes, and I'm like, I don't remember any of that. It didn't stick. But yeah, horseback riding, soccer, track, and then wrestling eventually. Yeah.
So wrestling, that brings me to your next question.
Yeah.
So wrestling, you're a fanatic of wrestling growing up.
I like the word fanatic. It was just like, I started in 3rd grade, and it was because my dad was always, well, I feel like obviously having 3 older brothers, I think that was kind of an influence, a little bit more rough and tough upbringing. And I was a little bit of a tomboy, so I had a lot of guy friends.
Sure.
But then my dad would always be like, you don't want to be like everybody else. You need to be different. And like, it's good to be different. You don't want to follow the crowd. So I kind of took that to heart. And I was like, started noticing things in 3rd grade, like kids are starting to kind of form their cliques and like what groups they belong in.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I had a pretty good mix of friends, and I was like, I don't think I want to do dance. And I'm like, I could see all these cliques. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to do wrestling. Like, I'm just going to try it out.
Right.
And I was just like, I fell in love with it. It was just so hard, and there wasn't a lot of females in there. And I'm like, sweet, well, I'm being different. So, and it kind of just stuck.
Yeah, because I believe you're a year older than me in school, I believe. And I can remember, at least in Two Rivers, there weren't any girl wrestlers.
No.
Maybe in middle, I didn't wrestle, but maybe in middle school there were. Not that I can remember. But you had to be one of the only ones.
Elementary was different. There was like a few. I think it was like me and like maybe like 1 or 2 others. And then when I started junior high at Washington, I was like, well, there's no rules that say I can't be on the wrestling team. Right. And like, there's no females. I'm like, can I join? And they said, yeah. So I was on the wrestling team in junior high, and I was the only one.
You went to Wilson?
Washington. Yeah. Okay. I was on the wrestling team there for 3 years, and like that was probably my most memorable time because I had like 2 really good guy friends. It was like a great dynamic with everybody, and like not everybody hit puberty at that time, so it was like still a pretty even playing field, like even in my weight class. So like that was really fun, and like I would say fairly well. It was like usually half and half. Most of the time I would like beat the guys, and like I had a few good moments where I made some people cry. So that's always fun.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of the boys crying.
Yeah, right.
We had no one in wrestling, but I was big in football.
Yeah.
And we had 3 girls. I don't remember their names.
Yeah.
We had 3 girls come up for freshman team.
Yeah.
And they were like, can we play?
Yeah.
And there is no rule in WIA that says girls can't play football or wrestling. No, wrestling.
Yeah.
Girls wrestling now is huge. But back then there was like nobody.
Yeah.
And they played probably till sophomore year. They never played varsity, but they just wanted to play. So why stop them?
Exactly. And it's so tough now because I mean, clearly there's a point where, you know, like once you hit puberty and like there's like a huge strength deficit between them. And not always. I'm saying like girls can get pretty damn strong. Yes. But when you're getting hit in football, a little different too.
It is.
I'm sure after a certain point. But.
And I think body weight plays a huge factor into when you have impact in a sport. You can be super strong at, let's say the girl weighs 130 pounds, but you have a not so strong guy that weighs 200 pounds. It might hurt a little bit. I don't know.
100%. I mean,
those girls were tough though.
200 pounds won't hit me. Yeah.
They're kind of mean.
They gotta be.
And I only remember brief. I couldn't tell you the school, but there was one school we went there for a game, and they threw a fit, not about them playing, but about them dressing. We said, well, just unlock the girls' locker room. It's not a big deal. Yeah. It's right there.
I know. There's always something.
And they did, but it's like, well, why are they here? Because they're on the team. It doesn't. Who cares why they're here? Obviously, they're not dressing in our locker rooms, but it's ridiculous.
I know. There was a lot of like small little loopholes. I'm like, oh, didn't think about that. We probably should worry about that. Like, I had to get a singlet for me because they like went too low, so I had to wear a shirt underneath, and they didn't want shirts underneath. Like in wrestling,
sure.
Like grab on the fabric and stuff.
Sure.
But I know a lot of rules and stuff have changed since then. So
yeah. Especially this next question is about around here. Yeah. Kind of talked about your wrestling experience. Yeah. But with wrestling being so big in Manitowoc County with MJ Newman and Angie Bianchi going to state, what do you think young women can take away from wrestling? A lot. I feel like wrestling's come a long way for women though. Like you said, like when I started, it was like just me. And now when I went back to Lakeland, they actually had a women's wrestling team. I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then like the coach had found out like I wrestled for a little bit and approached me. And I jumped in on a few practices, but then I had just gotten like really involved in CrossFit. Like I'm gonna get so beat up, like I can't do both. Yeah. But anyways, I feel like women can take out a lot of wrestling because like wrestling doesn't care how you look. It cares on what you can do and perform. And I feel like that's pretty big for women because in a lot of sports where appearance does play a big factor, like wrestling does not. No. Like you just got to do well. Yeah. Right. They don't care. Yeah. And I also feel like it's different because wrestling is going to showcase how much effort you've put in because it's only you and your opponent on the mat.
and it's like under a lot of fatigue, and you have to learn how to deal with discomfort, and then also doing it in opposition. So I feel like that alone.
Do you feel it could help women? I don't want to say confidence, it's the wrong word, but sure, confidence or persevere in life in things, say careers that are men dominated careers that women try to get into? Do you think it could help in that aspect?
Definitely.
In the mental aspect of it?
Yeah, I think it definitely can show some like physical autonomy with their body too, just knowing like, hey, that always doesn't matter. Like,
Right.
There's a lot more we can do here. But I think also it's showing like women can really do any sport at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they can get pretty fucking strong too.
Yeah. You see, we talked earlier about women in football, for example, and the impact. But now my sister's husband coaches flag football in Nina, and they have 85 girls out for it.
That's
and
awesome.
it's coming here.
In
it's
Nina.
A matter of time, but it's coming here.
That's crazy.
But make it open. Like if they don't want to play at the junior and senior level, just make them play football. What's the difference? They can play the game.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to get hit, that's fine. Give them another opportunity to do it without getting hit. Keep them incorporated in those physical sports.
Just need exposure young, and like don't put limitations on there. So I'm hoping, I think wrestling could just show that there's less limitations than you think.
Absolutely. I mean, I never wrestled a day in my life, so half these girls would whoop my ass.
Well, I never play football a day in my life, so I get my ass kicked in football.
So you said you got into CrossFit while you were doing wrestling at Lakeland.
So do you want to talk about how I got into CrossFit?
Yes, that's the next question.
Okay. So no, those are two separate things.
Okay.
I graduated Lincoln in 2010 and kind of had like a little hiatus of like, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. Like worked, a lot of traveling, came back, and then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll join the Air Force.
Sure.
And of course, like that mindset kind of stayed with me of like, I don't have to be like everybody else. And like, I think wrestling kind of showed me like, I really like to do hard things and just kind of be challenged and doing things that like, I think I maybe like I shouldn't or couldn't do. So I was like kind of looking on the job side in the Air Force, and they had just kind of within the last year or two opened up special forces to women. So there's like a couple different categories there. I think pararescue probably being the most like known.
Sure.
But then there's like a step below special forces, and it's called a SEER specialist. Are you familiar with SEER?
Yes.
Okay. Survival, evasion, resistance, escape. So the Air Force actually has a job title where you can be a SEER instructor.
Okay.
And you spend like pretty much 99% of your time outside and doing physical fitness. I'm like, that sounds fucking great. So I'm like, I choose this one. But that one had minimal openings. You had to pass a special PT test. Unlike the regular PT test for the Air Force, I had to meet a different set of standards. So I was like, well, better start training now. So at that time, I mean, like I didn't have the knowledge I have now. So I just started doing as much as I could, ate differently, spent a lot of my time training like 2 times a day, 6 days a week.
Oh, man.
I know. Like when I look back, I'm like, I was so dumb. But anyways, I don't know if you're familiar or like how it was for you, but typically recruiters will do organized PT like once a week with their recruits to get them ready for boot camp. And the closest recruiter was for the Air Force was in Sheboygan. And of course, the Air Force didn't do organized PT once a week.
No.
So I was like, damn, like I really need this support. Like I needed people to push me. And I was like, well, I know the Army recruiter does it in Manitowoc. So I called the Army recruiter and I was like, hey, do you care if I work out with you guys? And he's like, I'm like, but I am in debt for the Air Force, so I can't join the Army.
Sure.
And he's like, what the heck? And he's like, sure, come work out with us.
Do you remember who it was?
I can't remember his name. Do you know any of the names of the Army recruiters there?
Not the Army. I knew the Marine Corps recruiter next door. His name was Daniel E. Miguel.
Okay. Oh, okay. Jordan, was it Voss? His last name was Voss.
Yes.
Okay. He was such a great human. He was just like this big dude, bald head, and he's like such a nice dude. Anyways, he let me work out with him a few times, and he's like, you know what? I feel like you would do really well in CrossFit. Like you should come join me sometime. So he's the guy who actually brought me to CrossFit for the first time.
Okay.
And CrossFit Manitowoc was like in an old warehouse building with like no heat. We went in, I think, December or January. It was pretty cold. Was
that when it was down by like Invincible kind of?
I think it was the old mural building.
Yeah. The brick ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember being so cold in there and like wearing my winter jacket. And I remember just getting my ass beat by a 14-pound wall ball in a rower. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, this is exactly what I need. But it was cool because there was like young people in there, people in their 30s and 40s. And like everybody was kind of competing. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Like they teach like this really broad spectrum of like skill and strength and conditioning, and like there's still opportunity for me to be competitive after high school. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So that was kind of my first intro, and I kind of fell in love with it. And I was like, oh, I don't want to join the Air Force anymore. I just want to do this for a living. But I've
already signed.
Yeah, I was already signed. So like that was my first intro in 2013. And
okay,
then
so
I literally
been, what, 20?
20, because I joined 21.
21, okay.
Yeah, so then I like literally joined the Air Force a couple months later. So, and then I tried to kind of stay in the CrossFit space, like off and on through my Air Force career. But the job I actually ended up with was an F-16 crew chief.
Where were you stationed?
In northern Japan, Misawa, Japan.
Did they have, like, we had base gyms? I'm sure you guys had base gyms.
We had a pretty sweet base gym. They had a little CrossFit space there.
Okay.
And we worked a lot of like 12s and 14s. So it was just like, I just got in what I could and like found a good community of people. I mean, I think I'd still train 5 days a week, but it wasn't competitive. It was just like, I want to keep doing this.
Sure. We had a full CrossFit gym in 29 Palms. It was a barn with some
awesome.
Rubber mats.
Love that. Yeah.
Pull-up bars, Olympic rings.
That's the best kind of gym. Yeah.
I had like 6 months left on contract, so they fapped me out there because I wasn't deployable anymore. And so I just signed people in all day. And that was like my first stint at CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I never really got into CrossFit, but I did the workouts. And they would bring, I forgot the political name of it, the platoon. When you're overweight, we just call it fat body platoon.
That sounds pretty accurate, honestly.
There's an actual. There's an
that's a pretty broad, like,
my old platoon sergeant was getting out, and he ran that. Okay. So he's like, "Do you want to work out with us?" I was like, "Well, I already lifted this morning, but sure, why not?"
I get some conditioning in.
So we did it, and it sucked. It was hard. It was.
It's a pain sport. That's really what it is.
Olympic rings. I couldn't do a muscle up on Olympic rings. Yeah. I can do like 30 pull-ups. But I can't do the flip. And it's horrible.
It's like a whole different skill set, and I think that's why I fell in love with it so much. But
it's definitely a skill set. You have to practice. Well, I guess that goes with anything, but you have to practice those movements over and over and over to get good at it. And I like the rower. Like we row all day long. It's like 130 degrees. But
see, there's like something for everybody.
Yeah. So when did you get? I don't know much about CrossFit.
Yeah.
I know it, but I don't know much. What is level 1 and level 2?
Okay. So when you go to get your CrossFit level 1, and so level 1, like level 2 is kind of a more advanced, like branch off of level 1.
Sure.
Okay. But that is like the minimum requirement to coach at a CrossFit affiliate.
Okay.
Like if the CrossFit's affiliate, you're paying CrossFit for the brand name to like coach CrossFit classes. So I actually got my level 1 when I was in Tokyo, and I was like, well, I know I want to do this at some point, so I'm going to get my level 1 and like hopefully coach at CrossFit Manitowoc when I separate from the military. So I got it like a couple of years before I got out. And they go over just like fundamentals, like CrossFit has their 9 foundational movements that they go over. This is like your squat, your press, your deadlift, your push press, your jerk, your snatch. And then I think there's clean and jerk and some kind of like pull up.
Sure.
And then a med ball clean, which I don't know if it belongs in there, but hey, it's in there.
It is.
So anyways, they go over all these foundational movements and basically like how to run a group class, how to coach safely, how to take some of these advanced movements and break them down into regressions so you can run a safe class. And like, it's for everybody, like elite athletes and then like the person coming off the couch. So I think it was good. It's very practical coaching. We're not learning about muscle spindles and all of that,
right,
which I think is great to some level. But when it comes to actual coaching, nobody cares about a muscle spindle.
No, they don't.
So that's where I think CrossFit does things well in some regard, where it was like very digestible, easy to apply.
How long did that take?
Oh, it was a 2-day seminar and it was all day. So I would say it's pretty pricey for 2 days.
Sure.
But if you want to coach CrossFit, you want to be in the space and maybe own an affiliate one day, I think it pays to kind of work your way up the levels. I think it goes up to level 3 or 4.
That's interesting that CrossFit does that because United States Strongman, I don't know about Strongman Core, but United States Strongman has an affiliate for your gym, but there's no certification required, nothing. You just pay $500 and you can host meets. And I don't necessarily agree with that to a point. I think it's great as a business standpoint, but not in teaching strongman. Because Louie and I have talked about this before. I think strongman is CrossFit, just heavier. It's the exact same thing.
I mean, there's so much carryover. I think that's where CrossFit is like, we appreciate all these other sports because they're all encompassing in our sport. So I think we can learn a lot from strongman and like people who are more strength oriented. So there are a lot of similarities.
My first time picking up sandbags or stones was at CrossFit Manitowoc because they had them and I didn't.
Yeah, it's nice because you can get exposure to all those things. Yeah.
And that's really interesting. They do these, you've probably seen it on the TikToks or the Instagram. It's Warrior of the Day workouts.
Yeah.
And it's all CrossFit movement just in a vest.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah. It's pretty much that. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you competed competitively as a CrossFit athlete, didn't you?
So I don't know, like I would say I trained competitively. It's CrossFit ceiling has gotten so high over the years that I think it really opened my eyes once I got in the competitive space. You're like, holy crap. In order to be like the best, I would have had to give up everything to even get maybe a shot, you know? So when I say competitive, I went from like somebody who spends like an hour in the gym, does some bodybuilding. I'm talking, I ate, slept, breathed CrossFit. Like I made sure I had like 9 to 10 hours of sleep, and like I was eating like so many carbs, fats, and proteins per day. Sometimes training 2-3 times a day, different sessions. So like training 2 to 4 hours a day. So that's where I think it was like not the norm.
Yeah, it was a lifestyle.
It was a lifestyle. So I think that's where I say like competitive athlete, but I wouldn't categorize myself as elite. I would say I was, they call it RX, which is like a step below that. Like I definitely got very good and very well-rounded. And I did a lot of local competitions in the area here. A lot of them were partner-based. And then I did my first individual competition in Las Vegas, and that was 2 days long.
Vegas.
It was a great place to do it. When I was training for it, I was like, oh, it's going to be so hot. I'm going to start going in the sauna and like training in sweatpants. Well, I did not take account for how dry the air was. Yes. And when you're like breathing so hard for a long period of time, I was like, I had iron lungs by the end. But that was a very good experience. It was a very well-ran competition. I ended up 4 points away from first, and then I tied for second place. So it was a great experience all around. A lot of good learning points. And I think that was probably like the peak of my competitive competition, because I had so many injuries and just like things never aligned well with me where I was healthy enough to compete frequently.
What injuries did you have?
My first one started actually when I was trying to qualify or like go through the washout period of SEER school. And so I actually didn't become a SEER specialist. I tore my left meniscus in my knee during a rec assessment. And that was just really hard to come back from. Like they're like, surgery or medical discharge. I'm like, well, I'll take the surgery.
Yeah.
And like they do surgeries a little bit different now. So, and they were like, well, you can go back into the next cycle in like a month or two. And I was like, well, I'm sure you've had experience with injury. Like sometimes 2 months isn't enough.
Not on a meniscus tear.
No. So that was kind of the start of my injury streak. And I think part of that too was probably just overtraining as well and like not eating enough then. But that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Nobody in the military eats enough.
Yeah.
There's never enough time.
I mean, that's true as well. But that was like a big part of getting healthy again during CrossFit when I hired my training think tank coach. I feel like I learned the most from that company. I was just like, holy shit, like this is how I train intelligently. Like, so knee injury, I had a left shoulder torn labrum, surgery on that. And then that kind of gave me a lot of problems. I just kind of have like a really tight thoracic spine and like tight shoulders, and like I just never developed enough strength and didn't rehab it properly. So I had a lot of like ongoing off and on stuff.
So labrum tears is going back in my history of my life. I don't remember a single kid in the 4 years I was in high school that tore labrum, and now everyone's tearing them.
Yeah.
And Louie and I have conversations just kind of BSing about it. Like, why do you think that is?
Yeah.
And I think when we this kind of leads into the next question, when you talk about athletic development for sport, I think schools, in the broad term of it, don't teach barbell mechanics enough to stabilize the joint.
Yeah.
And then they don't go into single joint movements enough to teach people how to stabilize or how to, we'll say, press in a deep range of motion.
Yeah.
Enough, and that's why they can't stabilize those joints. Then you tear labrum.
Yeah.
Outside of genetic terms of it.
Yeah.
That is a factor too. But
yeah, when I was looking through some of the questions you gave me and like, what does Manitowoc lack in terms of athletic development? That was my number one is, like, I don't work in the same space as you. And I think you get to see that more on a week to week basis because you're working with young adults more often than I am. But I have taught like CrossFit Kids and things, and there's just a common theme. And I think now when we're in a generation where people spend a lot of time behind a screen and really not, with their body and like moving their body in space, there's just like lack of awareness, and we don't know how to move well. We don't know basic fundamentals. And then, like you said, we're focused on like only the sport, but not everything outside of that, which is where you're going to spend most of your time.
Yes.
And I think that sets you up for success and resilience, like in your sport. So like learning how to squat well and how to press well and how to deadlift and clean. And like, I think all of those things just carry over in life. People can't even pick up something off the floor and they tweak their back.
Yeah. So, do you notice this with, obviously I work a lot with kids and young adolescents, and you work with adults. Mm-hmm. Do you notice that even adults don't know how to hinge?
Oh, 100%.
It's super frustrating.
Yes. I would say, teaching somebody how to hinge properly is probably the most challenging thing, one of the most challenging things to teach as a coach. Yep. It's just not commonly taught. And yeah, like you said, adults, I would say honestly more often adults have a harder time, like people who just haven't moved their whole life. And now they're willing to get fitness in, which is great for them, but it's a challenge sometimes.
Yeah. I've seen that. I don't work with a ton of it. Some little kids, we'll say like 5th, 6th, 7th graders, unless they're very athletic, don't know how to sit in that hinge pattern. Yeah. High schoolers, sure, they're a little better at it. Yeah. But then you put 20 pounds in their hand and they can't do it. Yeah. They can't hold their position of their spine. And it's interesting that it keeps going all the way up.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that is such a big one.
You made an interesting comment of, because I just talked about this the other day at work, we press in like, let's play game after game after game after game. Yeah. But then it's, let's go to the weight room in season, and it's, oh, we can't do that in season. Why not? Yeah, why not? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's necessary. Like, if, you're going to play your sport and get better at at the skill of your sport. But if you want to be the best in your sport, then you have to get stronger, and that's going to transfer over to your sport. Yeah. And I think there's different phases of training, and you need to, hopefully you have a good strength and conditioning coach, which you are one, right?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I think, knowing when to, like, this is just maintenance right now, and it's probably going to be low volume, but we need to get touches and keep that high intensity, but keep the volume low. So that way you're fresh and you're not beat up for the actual sport itself. So I think it's necessary. But I do think that people probably need to know, like, hey, this is going to change throughout the year, and it's not always the same in terms of.
Right. Nor should it be the same.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Training should always change. Yes. But going into programming, so I train a conjugate style. We've talked about this in the past. Yep. How is CrossFit set up in programming? Like, there's linear periodization, dynamic strength, conjugate. How is CrossFit set up?
Oh, this is the beauty of CrossFit. So in some ways, if you walk in a CrossFit affiliate, it's different, right? You're trying to get like all Gen Pop all in one class, and you're just trying to give them like a pretty good mix of everything. So that's very different from like what I do with Training Think Tank, and this is why I love what they do so much, because it always is going to depend, and every athlete is going to respond differently to different styles of programming, whether that's linear periodization, conjugate, or the dynamic strength. So, I mean, I like all of those because I've used all of those with different people. It just kind of depends on how they adapt. Like, for me, I get jacked up on conjugate. Like, I just don't handle volume well. Yeah. And I've done pretty well with like linear strength progressions, where it's like a little bit each week, we back off, and then we do it again a little bit more intense. So I find that with beginners, like, linear is fantastic. And I really like that method, just to kind of like give them a foundation to work from. And then depending on like who that person is, like, let's say they're a football player, and they're probably a great candidate for conjugate.
In time, yeah.
In time, exactly. And then, for example, like, well, if they want to be a CrossFit athlete, then maybe dynamic strength makes sense for them to branch off to later on, because it hits a little bit of everything. Yeah. So I like it all, and it's all useful.
If if you're teaching someone, we'll just say that 'cause we're both familiar with conjugate.
Yep.
Conjugate requires absolute strength twice a week.
Yep.
Upper body, lower body.
Yep.
When you program someone that's just getting in, they're like, okay, they're done with linear periodization, they can start getting into conjugate.
Yeah.
True conjugate training is 100% on your max effort movements.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah.
It depends. How do you train people? Because obviously recovering from 100% or anything over 90 is pretty hard to do.
Yes.
Do you wave them to that? Or do you start, like, maybe this is easier to understand.
Yeah.
Do you start them at 80% and then rep set schemes 82, 84, 86, stuff like that? Or do you keep them at 90 and keep them at 90% over and over and over and over and over to handle load?
So if we're talking just conjugate, and someone's starting off, I like the idea of kind of like wave loading them into a certain percentage that I want to get them at, because that percentage is going to feel very different from person to person, and also in the week too. Like I'm sure you know, like one day that feels really good, and the next day it feels fucking terrible. So like let's say we start at 80%, we're slowly trying to creep to 90%, like over the course of like 4 to 6 weeks.
Sure.
I could do it that way, or I like to use RPE base, like build to a heavy single for the day, like 9 out of 10 RP, like you almost might have failed it.
Yeah.
So I like using those two specifically if we aren't quite ready for like a specific percentage based off of like their all-time best 1RM.
Yeah. What do you think in conjugate the biggest misunderstanding of it is, of the way it's set up?
That you're only lifting heavy all the time, every day.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. Which people do that.
I see it, like a lot of people come up, actually it happened last week, and they said, well, you guys just max all the time, but it's not maxing.
Yeah.
We're maxing
That's the fun highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're maxing on a variation of a comp movement.
Yeah.
Based on where you're failing that comp movement, whatever it may be. And strongman's different than powerlifting, it's different than CrossFit. There's all different aspects, but I like that answer. That's a great answer. How important do you think dynamic strength is? I know I'm going off script here a little bit.
No, it's okay. I mean, I definitely think it always has its place. And again, I think this could depend on like what season you're in. Like if you're in a sport and you just need to start hitting variation, and like, I think it could be helpful. But then for CrossFit, I think there's a great place for that because you're doing workouts with 100 front squats at 95, which isn't that heavy. Then you also are doing a 1 rep max later that week. So I think hitting a broad spectrum of like strength, speed, hypertrophy is kind of all encompassing, and it's kind of what our sport does.
Yeah.
So again, I think that can be helpful.
Do you think incorporating dynamic days in twice a week, like they do in conjugate, but you can do it in linear periodization as well?
Yeah.
Do you think that helps relieve load in the long, say in a 4-month training block, that helps relieve the load so your deload weeks don't have to be as long?
Yeah, I think it's a I think it's a great way to incorporate deloads that aren't boring either, because it gives you another focal point, and there's always benefit to like speed work. And developing different fiber types so that way you can get stronger. So I feel like that would be a great mix to add in. Like,
that's an interesting way to think about it. I think it's a great way to control volume at 50. Well, it depends if you use bands or not, but 50% to 65%, give or take, because it's really realistically it's not heavy.
No,
you might think it is if you're doing 10 sets of 3 or 3 sets of 10, whatever way you run it.
Yeah,
but it's on your actual body, it's not that heavy.
No, it's not that heavy.
And
but
you
when
could probably pull that all day or press it all day long with a certain amount of breaks. But when you do dynamic strength movements, whatever it is, whether it's dumbbell movements or barbell movements, do you think that cutting your rest time down during dynamic strength is key?
No, I think more rest is always best if you have the time and it makes sense to do so. But this is also if you're going to be really strong, right? Like if that's your end goal, then you're going to want more rest. What
rest do you do on that? Say you're dynamic squatting.
Yeah. I think it depends. I mean, I've definitely rested. I've done like 3 reps bench press, like every minute 15 at like 65%, where like the rest is actually pretty short.
Yeah.
But I would say like up to 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
Okay. But I'm about 45 seconds to a minute, give or take.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have a group of 4 going, it's a little longer. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think like for that specifically, I probably wouldn't creep into too long. but I would definitely say like 45 to 90.
Sure. All right. A little bit away from training, but you're a relatively new mother.
Yes.
How do you balance training with raising a child and your family life? You're married.
Yeah.
How do you balance all that? Because it can be hard.
Yeah, it is. I feel like it's constantly evolving as she's starting to age. And like, you've been through the stages, like, you know how it goes. Now it's like I have to maximize my time and I cannot waste any of it. So usually like in the morning, I can usually squeak like an hour and a half out of her. Like if I put her in the gym with me, and like I want her to see this, and she can usually hang with me in there, but like it's interrupted training and I have to be okay with that. So setting expectations for myself, I think, was number one, because also kind of someone who has athlete brain, like I would beat myself up. I'm like, well, I really have to get this in. I'm like, but do I though? Like, I don't have to anymore. I want to. Yeah, I want to, but I don't need to. And then like if she falls asleep, I'm like, okay, well, here's another opportunity. And like I'll kind of give myself what one of the coaches at Training Think Tank says, like microdosing fitness. Like if I have 30 minutes, I have 30 minutes and I can do stuff with that time.
Yeah.
And before I'd be like, 30 minutes isn't enough time. It is.
I
can get one set. I can get like my deadlift session in if I'm very meticulous with my warm up.
Yeah.
Or I can do a conditioning piece in that time. So sometimes it's spread out and it's broken up.
And you train at home, obviously?
I train at home mostly. Like sometimes I go to the YMCA because they have a Sphere, and I'm like, and they also have Child Watch, and I'm like, here you go.
Oh, I didn't know they had Child Watch. Okay.
They do. You can pay an additional fee, and it's 2 hours at a time. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturdays.
Okay.
And like that's just plenty of time. Like sometimes I'll work there, and sometimes I'll train.
Sure.
It gives me a little bit of uninterrupted time, which is always nice.
Do you ever find it where, say, you're in a workout and your daughter needs something or whatever it is, right? She has to take a nap or eat or something like that. Do you find it where you'll start your workout, you go take care of that, you'll come back and keep doing your workout?
Yes, especially in the beginning I still breastfeed her, but in the beginning it was like very close together, like these cluster feedings. I don't know if you're familiar, but it was like every 20 to 30 minutes. And like sometimes I give myself 2 hours of training, but the actual time I was training was probably like 45 minutes to an hour. So I would stop and feed her and then start again, stop, feed her, start again. So sure.
And you just bring her out into the gym in your garage?
Yeah. Like when I was also coaching at CrossFit Manitowoc, I would just like plop her in there. She'd start kind of like, all right, do her feed her, then I put her back in there, and then she'd fall asleep watching me do handstands. Like, you're so boring. So,
I have a member that does that. She's like 3. Third grade. Sorry, not 3. And he got this little chair he found at a rummage sale. He's like, can I just put it here and she can sit? I was like, I don't care, man. Sure. Just make sure she doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, as long as they're contained. Like she used to have this little walker and she would just like zoom across the gym. Like CrossFit Manitowoc was like a lot bigger, but sometimes I'd put a resistance band on there and like walk her like a dog and just pull her around. She'd kind of like get in people's way, and I was like, well, I don't want to ruin their experience. Like, but it was pretty fun to watch. It was funny.
So going back to the intro with your certifications.
Yep.
I have no idea what this is.
Yeah.
So talk about postpartum and pregnancy athleticism certification.
Yes.
And what made you want to pursue that?
Yes. This is a great offering. Brianna Battles started this, and she uses it for like fitness professionals, but also for like physical therapists and occupational therapists, which is great because it shows the athletic side and the clinical side, and it kind of bridges that gap. So what made me want to pursue this, because I get really frustrated. I'm like, well, I want to be a better coach, but like now when I'm going through something, like I want to learn everything about that thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, now I'm pregnant, so I want to learn everything about this because I'm going to continue to work out. And they're like, well, just do what you did before. And I was like, well, that doesn't always work for everybody.
No, it doesn't.
And I think some of the things they say are misleading in the medical space because specifically, I mean, honestly, all throughout pregnancy, like do what you did before, or it's like taboo to lift really heavy when you're pregnant, or get your heart rate over like, what is it, 150 or whatever it is. Yeah. So like, well, I need to know good information here. And I've seen women do crazy things in CrossFit while pregnant. So like, I know I can do this, but I need to know when and why and where I should do this.
Yeah.
And then as far as like medical advice, like the first 6 weeks postpartum, like I can't do anything, they say. And then all of a sudden 6 weeks, I'm cleared to do all of the things. So I'm like, there is something missing here. And like, I wanted to be that missing link for people. And that's kind of where the certification comes into play. Like how to coach women mentally, especially athletes. But I think it kind of trickled down to people who just maybe want to do fitness or maybe lose weight postpartum. It's the same thing. It's like, well, what can I be doing? What should I be doing? And then like, how do I modify things if I'm having like pelvic pain? And
Yeah.
All of these other things are like, maybe I'm peeing and I'm not supposed to be, you know? And all of those things are addressed in the certification. And I'm like, I've been like slowly chipping away at it. I'm like, man, I wish I would have done this differently, a little bit this differently. And it also teaches us like different problems that occur in pregnancy. For example, postpartum, I had a little bit of organ prolapse. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but like the organs will distend during pregnancy and sometimes they don't go back to where they should be. So then you feel like a little bit more heaviness and pressure, and especially with heavy lifting, that can be really problematic. And I used to always like send pressure outward, like in my belt, like I would cinch my belt down and like just bear down as hard as I could. And like it allowed me to lift really heavy, but it might not have been the best option while I was pregnant or postpartum.
Sure.
Because it makes the symptom worse.
Yeah.
So,
and your thoracic pressure goes through the roof.
Yes.
So does your blood pressure.
Yeah. And it's like there's a lot of different ways to brace and like direct pressure. And it's kind of like what allows my symptoms to be reduced the most and what allows me to continue doing what I love. And like this certification has been so helpful. So I'm hoping I can help more women, you know, get back into fitness or and hopefully work with some more people who are pregnant more. I
think the medical, I don't want to say profession, like I'm insulting anyone because I'm not. But there's like,
it's not the people themselves. No. It's like the system.
But you say 6 weeks, right? We'll draw a line at 6 weeks. Yeah. Can't do anything on this side. As soon as it hits 6 weeks, you can do everything.
Yeah.
Well, why is it 6 weeks? Yeah. Why can't it be, okay, you feel great here at 4 weeks? Why can't it be 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Yeah. And then it's also like, well, what was I doing before versus what, you know, Sally on the couch was doing before.
Right.
Like that looks largely different. And the steps to get there could be so much longer.
Correct.
Yeah. And especially for an athlete.
I think when, say you went and saw a medical professional or whoever it is, they need to look at you as an individual and say, okay, well, maybe 6 weeks you can't do all this stuff that you used to do. And maybe it's 8 weeks or whatever it is, or vice versa the other way.
Yeah.
But that's in everything, not just postpartum and pregnancy. That could be in like a knee injury.
Exactly. And I think this is where it kind of matured me more as an athlete, because it just humbled me like, okay, well, I can do this, but do I need to be doing this? Does it serve me? Does it serve me short term? Does it serve me in the long term? And I was like, people come back after like 6 months and I'm like, I'm giving myself an entire year. And I still don't feel like, I feel like maybe 95%.
Sure.
But things like running and bounding still aren't quite back to where they need to be.
Sure.
So I think, just setting expectations and hopefully getting people on a good road there.
Well, I think it'll help a lot of women, especially even if they don't work out. Say a woman never works out, and that's not her thing, and that's fine. But postpartum can be really hard. And I'm not a woman, so I have no idea. Yeah. But I've heard stories and I have friends, and it can be a very hard and dark time for women, both physically and mentally.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think there's a lot. Like, it doesn't have to be just for athletes, but I think I like doing things from like an athlete brain, because I think it gives like the most extreme cases, but then you can always take that and break it down.
Right.
And
you
I
can
think,
tone it down.
From like a mental standpoint, I think it's super important, but then also people will have issues later, like incontinence, and like they have crazy diastasis where their abs are separating so much they can barely even get out of bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just got to live better. Like at that point, you know what I mean? I mean, like I want to help you live better and like not be in pain and, you know, have a normal life for the most part.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
well, if I experience anyone that has postpartum, I'm going to send them right to you.
I would love that. I would love to work with them.
Back to CrossFit a little bit. Does it run in the family? Does your husband do CrossFit? I've never met your husband, and if so, how does strength training essentially help strengthen your relationship?
Yeah.
Do you and your husband have a competitive drive with each other when you train?
Funny. I am the first one who started CrossFit. I definitely have a type A personality in the relationship, but we also have like a really good dynamic. He's like the social butterfly. I can be alone all the time. I know it's not good for me, but I can do it. So I think we offer a good mix, and we actually both met in the military in Japan. And I still remember, I'm like, hey, you want to do CrossFit with me? And like, thankfully he actually did play football. So he knew how to do some power cleans and bench press. I'm like, thank God he's like coordinated and athletic. But we remember, have you ever heard of the workout Linda?
Yes.
Okay. So that was the first workout I had to do with me. So if you don't know what Linda is, it's a descending rep scheme, like 10, or is it up ascending or descending?
It's up, I believe.
I think, it's ascending.
I did it once.
Yeah. It's 1 up to 10 of bench press, deadlift, and then cleans based off a percentage of your body weight. Anyways, we were really wrecked after that, but
it's like 60%.
Yes, it's a good percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took us a good amount of time to do. But after that, he's like, okay, well, like it was pretty fun. I'll keep doing it with you. But he's not like in love with it. He just knows it's good for him, and he kind of joins me. And I think that's where like we're able to do something positive, like that's positive together.
Yeah.
Even if we don't want to do it, I think like one of us will talk each other into it at some point. And like, not that I never not wanted to do it, but now with a child, I'm like, so tired. He's like, well, just stop feeling sorry for yourself and get in there. I'm like, you're right. I'll go. So I think this is where like the dynamic's been really good. Once in a while, I'll get him to compete with me, like especially postpartum when I was kind of having a hard time like rebuilding things, like things that I could push. Like he was now ahead of me, so I'm like, damn it, I can't let him.
Did he let you know that too?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, it was a good feel. It was a good feel.
If you could give 15-year-old Colleen any advice, whether it be life advice or training or whatever it is, what would you say to yourself?
Man, definitely training related. Well, one, don't be so hard on yourself, but also lift more, eat more, train a little less.
Yeah.
And then find a really good coach. Like, I think all of those things could have made a huge difference. I just feel like I did too much, and I did too much cardio, and it just like didn't really serve me for what I wanted to get better at the time. It was just kind of the generation like that time frame, like where we were growing up, is like eat less, eat no fat, and like do as much cardio as possible and do a lot of bodybuilding. And I feel like I just kind of got small and skinny, and it didn't really make me stronger. And I could have been so much better at wrestling and probably had way less injuries and all of the things.
When it comes back to women in wrestling, specifically you, in my experience, and I don't know much about wrestling, we have a lot of kids that come wrestling. Louis kind of handles that. I'm not a huge fan of teaching middle school kids to cut weight, especially girls. Because then you develop really bad habits, and you can develop eating disorders just by getting in a habit like that. Do you think we need to push that aspect of just whatever weight class you're at, compete in the closest weight class? That's I don't know. I see a huge problem with that.
Yes, I agree with that. And that's like that's a sticky subject to be around. And I totally agree, especially with women. Like there's so many women that come, I mean, even athletically, people who have had eating disorders in the past and like come into CrossFit, and you can still see that they're under eating. So I usually ask my athletes to count what they're eating so I can see. Like I'm not a certified nutritionist, but like I know the amount of food that you need to be eating. Okay. In order to be successful. And I'm sure you know this too, like you need to be eating enough to perform well. And sometimes in wrestling, like those two kind of like butt heads at each other because you're going to be a certain weight class. And I think we just need to approach the topic differently. Like if you encourage them to eat enough protein and maybe like, you know, like drink enough water and like maybe lay off the carbs before a weigh-in, like that alone can make a big difference. But maybe eating less is the wrong approach.
And the topic of cutting weight doesn't mean you don't eat.
Exactly.
I cut weight all the time for strongman, but I just take what I eat and I cut it in half. But I'm still eating 3 to 4 or 5 times a day.
Yes. Yeah. That's a great point too, is like people think the only way is not eating less and doing more. And sometimes, in some of my experiences, sometimes eating more of the right stuff allows you to lose extra pounds too, because your body's like not fighting for survival at that point, you know?
In extreme cases, I do know, you might know her too, Emily Warner.
Okay.
She's a certified nutritionist. If I can't figure it out, I'm like, here, give her a call.
Yes.
She will write you a meal plan, and I'm not going to write you a meal plan.
Yes. That's like also, there's also a sticky point. It's like, well, I know what you should be doing, but we also have so many good resources at Training can take to use. And so professionals deal with that too. But they should have one at high schools.
They absolutely, yes. We, this year, which was great, we did in our football camp, I did a PowerPoint on why we're training the way we're training in the weight room. And the athletic trainer did a PowerPoint on nutrition for the kids. Now, probably 5 of them listened to it and the other 40 didn't, but at least
now you have 5 more people listening.
Right. At least somebody's heard it.
And hopefully it starts to trickle down. Like it's going to take time. It's probably new for people, right?
Yes. Which I thought was great. And it's nice to have an athletic trainer that and it's most schools have great athletic trainers, but it's
Yeah.
nice to have one where you can work with and like, this is why I'm doing this in the weight room. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
And if she has a problem in there and I have a problem in the weight room, say someone's knees killing them. Cool. I probably know what's wrong, but go see her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take her job and you go see her.
Yeah.
And then come back and see
exactly.
me.
And then you guys can work together and like bridge the gap. So that way people
Correct.
aren't left guessing, you know, it's a good way to work with people.
So I am a girl dad myself, Allison.
Yes.
It's actually her birthday today.
Oh, what? Happy
Yep.
birthday.
I have to call her later. She's in Chicago with her grandma.
Nice.
So, but what advice would you give all parents to young women out there that can help change their lives, especially in terms of sports and strength training?
In terms, if we're just talking sports and strength training, I think exposing them to women who are strong and good at what they do, and also you being the example. Like, you don't have to be elite or specialize in sport, but if you take care of yourself and you know, take that time for yourself in the gym, like, they're going to take notice to that. And I think that's really important for me. And like, that little time of you being selfish is actually you being selfless, because I think it kind of trickles down to your children.
Yeah.
And then I also think, especially for women, is, and like I've been guilty of this in the past, is like talking poorly about myself, or like, oh, I'm fat, or like, oh, like I don't have as much muscle as I want to, like, which I think that's not a terrible thing to say, but like being able to reframe how you think about yourself and your body. And I think this kind of ties back to like, I love sports where it doesn't really matter how you look. It's like what you can do.
Right. It's about the performance.
Exactly. Like, yes and no, right? And I think being able to like let your kids know that is important.
What about outside of sports?
Outside of sports. Can you repeat the question? So
sure.
Sorry.
What advice would you give?
Maybe we just got that long in the podcast and I'm like, my brain is slow.
What advice would you give all parents to young women out there that can change their lives, this time outside of sports?
Outside of sport. Praising their efforts versus their talents. I think, like, instead of being like, you're so talented and like you're so good at this sport, instead of being like, oh, you like really tried hard today, like I'm really proud of you for that. I feel like that goes a long way. Maybe not even in sport, but like in academics too, or like whatever they're doing. I think that allows you to kind of like praise their work ethic and not really like whether they succeed or fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that develops good work ethic for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I think that alone will provide the results. Like, if we're focused on the things you can control, which is your effort, and not like the outcomes.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that could be for everybody.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain broke for a little bit.
No, that's fine.
Back on track.
It's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So you coach at, it's Training Think Tank,
Training
right?
Think Tank.
Remotely now.
Yes.
For a while, you did work in Georgia, right?
I did. Mm-hmm.
What was your experience like working with new people in a new atmosphere? Obviously not from Georgia.
Yeah.
So how was that?
Yeah, I moved there. I was there for 2 total years. And it, like, when I got that job, it was like a dream job. And like the only time I worked with the Training Think Tank coach for, I believe, 4 years before I got hired there. So like you see everything on Instagram, it's kind of idolized. And like they have a lot of elite CrossFit athletes. They're like the best, some of the best in the space and the best coaches in the space. So when I first got there, I'm not gonna lie, like I had some crazy imposter syndrome. I was like, oh my God, like, do I belong here? And it had nothing to do with like the environment was great. The people were so great, but it was mostly in my head. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh. And I think that kind of held me back a little bit in the beginning. And I wish I would have been like a little bit more open. But with that being said, I feel like being on site there, I learned so much in a short period of time. And being able to have such a great staff of people to learn from and pull from that have been doing it for 10 plus years was so great to have like on hand. And they'd host a lot of like on-site training camps and things, and just watching elite athletes move. I'm like, oh, you can do that same movement like 5 different ways. And I was like, oh my gosh. And like, you don't notice those things until you're like in person and you're paying attention and you're watching. So I think that alone was so valuable. And I missed that a lot. But like the big reason I came back to Wisconsin was like 1 family, 2 pregnant, and then, you know, also I do it mostly remotely. Like even when I was there, I had mostly remote clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what, you told me before and I forgot.
Yep. Sorry.
What software do you use for
programming?
Programming, yes.
Yeah, pretty old school. I use Google Sheets. So
Yep.
I know this is where Training Think Tank is great because they kind of they try to give a good framework for people and like they want to build a professional system and we're in the process of doing that and like having our own app that allows us to do everything in one system. But every coach does things a little bit different. Like some coaches are willing to pay for like a specific app to use. It's a little bit more user friendly.
Yeah.
But the majority of us use Google Sheets. And that's where we organize like all of our training cycles. Because they do have like an online community where it's like a general program for competitive athletes and then non-competitive athletes.
Do you find it when have you used apps before?
I have not for my own programming, but I've used them for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was my first year using the school system uses an app. It's called Volt.
Okay.
And it was made by a bunch of CSs in the country made this app.
Yep.
And it's great for what it is.
Yeah.
But I found it, and I don't know if you have ever, it's super hard to be specific, especially when you do conjugate work because of all the bands.
Yeah.
You can't find the percentage of the band in there. So you'd spend hours just typing band. And did you find something similar like that with apps?
Yes. I think this is where like if I want to prescribe a specific tempo or like I have more notes that I want to put in or like certain percentage work and things like that. Sometimes it can get a little bit diluted and it's hard to be very specific. And I think that's where Google Sheets is so nice. You can put it all in one place and like write as much or as little as you want, link all the videos in there, have different tabs to like reference things, but it's just not user friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not on your phone anyway.
No. What I like is that like, say you put incline bench press and somebody's never done it, it'll show them what an incline bench press is, at least the Volt app.
Yep.
But that also can get kind of touchy because Bulgarian split squats, I don't write them as Bulgarian split squats. I just put single leg squats.
Oh.
I had one person say she's doing a pistol squat. And I said, nope.
Yep.
And that's on me mostly because I don't want to type Bulgarian.
Yeah. Hey, and you wrote like, you're like, what are some of the challenges of remote coaching? And I think this also is from like an athlete standpoint is that it's like things get lost in translation sometimes. Like communication gets a little lost. And it's like, that's just how it is. Like I can link all these videos. I'm like, hey, if you don't know what this is, please look it up on YouTube first and then reach out to me.
Sure.
Like most of this stuff, like if it's weird and it's not common, like I'm going to give you the link for it.
Yes.
But I think, communication get a little lost and maybe someone's been doing this wrong for like 4 weeks and you're like,
yeah.
So now we have to backtrack.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Even like for me, setting up band tension, if you don't have a power rack, most of the schools don't. They just have half racks.
Yeah.
There's a whole different way to set up the bands. And then which might change the tension of the band, which means we have to use a different band. Yeah.
And like that's the thing. I think it's never going to be perfect. And like they're probably going to make progress. And like what matters is that like it's progressed week to week, even if they're doing it a little bit wrong week to week. But that's definitely a big challenge with remote coaching too.
What challenges do your client, this kind of already answered it, but clients face?
Yeah, they're kind of intertwined. And I think just not getting feedback like on the spot. I think that's really helpful. Sometimes like
waiting?
Yeah, sometimes they'll fill out like in a perfect world, they fill out their feedback daily.
Yes.
And then secondly would be making sure it's all filled out before I write the next week. Because I write week to week. It just allows me to like change things. Like if someone's like, I got a shoulder tweak, I'm like, great, well, I'm going to change bench press for next week. Sure. So it allows me to make those changes. But sometimes people just don't write their feedback right away.
Yeah.
And maybe this is still a coaching problem and maybe not an athlete problem. But I think the really big thing is like they're just not able to get that like on the spot.
Yeah. That's interesting to do week to week. So I do 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But I always edit it. So if there's a problem in it, I'll just go in and edit it. And they depends who the person is.
Yeah.
Young kids, I don't give them edit permissions on their Excel sheet. Adults that I've worked with before, sure. Because I want them to, yes, we do RP scales.
Yeah.
For especially accessory work, because I'm never going to know your accessory work.
Yeah.
But I want you to write, I'll put RP 8.
Yeah.
Then write in what that is.
Yeah.
And then in 4 weeks, that has to go heavier. Or the volume has to increase. One of the two.
Yeah.
But a big part of that is people don't know RPE scales. People don't know how to edit on cells.
Yeah.
Or people just don't know exercises. And I tell them just message me, or then my phone's going off at 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, texting in the morning.
That's another thing too, is like I had to learn how to set boundaries, and I just like sometimes I just don't respond until the next day, obviously. But like with texting too, if it's just not an emergency, I'm like,
if I'm home with my kids, I'm probably, unless it's something big, or I have downtime, you can wait a day.
But I guess we're also like, sorry, I'm gonna like slightly backtrack a little bit, where you say like, oh, I'm surprised you're right week to week. Like we do have, I'm like, okay, well this cycle is going to be roughly an 8-week block, or like a 12-week block or whatever. So like there is an end in sight, and there are testing bodies in there. But what happens in between there just varies so much in CrossFit, because you're also progressing like conditioning, like really high intensity gymnastics and all of these things, and things get really meshed together, and there's just a lot of fatigue that builds up. So, but definitely easier to write it that way.
It's kind of backtracking too. We didn't talk warm-ups. So I do, I did not come up with the warm-ups, but they're winning warm-ups. What do you guys do as warm-ups for CrossFit?
For my athletes? Wow, this really varies. Like in the beginning, when I first get a client, we do a very thorough movement assessment. And again, this is like, we have all of this education and framework from TTT, but ultimately like you can build your own movement assessment that allows you to learn things about this athlete. For example, like I'm going to go really basic, like, can you get in a full squat, first of all? Because then I'm not going to load it if you can't. I'm not going to load it really heavy. So I'm testing their ankle dorsiflexion. Can you get your shoulders overhead in a full flexion? Can you like extend your thoracic spine? Can you flex your spine? So I'm doing all of that. And like when I see some red flags, like I take those pieces and I try to make sure we're addressing those week to week in their warm up, or like, especially like if we're going to be doing overhead press, like I need to make sure I warm up the shoulder flexion a little, because it's pretty bad. So again, it's very individualized that way. So it's a lot of joint movement prep. I don't know if I'm doing like as specific as you, because I think you have a very specific intention for like strength gain.
We do, it's all work capacity. At single joint movements, usually single joint movements. If you're pressing, your warm up will be some type of press in a variation that's not your first movement. So if you're bench pressing, it'll be some type of incline or overhead. Super light. But the volume, you'll do 300 reps. 3 exercises, 100 each exercise.
But there's some intention there to like increase blood flow and get all those nutrients in there, right? And like, I mean, there's a time and place like where I do those things. It's like not like I'm not having them press before pressing, you know what I mean? But it's maybe not quite as specific and intentional as yours, unless I'm doing a conjugate style progression. But
dynamic days, it looks a little different, because your warm-ups would be, it's a little cold right now, but sled work, you'll do a lot of sled drags, specifically because dynamic squats hurt your hips after a while. So I want to open your hips as much as I can. And we essentially tell people to walk with their sled like they're ice skating. So I want their feet to track outwards, kind of like they're ice skating or rollerblading.
You want to make it like movement specific. I mean, and like when we do Olympic lifts, like snatch and clean and jerk, like I'll do primers of like vertical jumps and like things that improve rate of force development, where I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get these like type 2 fibers like firing up, so that way you're ready for explosive work like cleans and stuff. So like I do that stuff, and like for some people like might not need it as much, but I like to have it in there.
Are you big into deep knee flexion for lower body warm-up days?
Yes, because it's required in our sport. So like we ass to grass squats, as they say. So we definitely try to get deep knee flexion unless somebody has an injury or something that's limiting them. But
do you think, now I'm kind of going off script here because now we're talking, but
this can be the anything else you'd like to add part, because we're adding.
Do you think, Louie and I are believers in this, that in strength training as a whole, for athletics, CrossFit's athletics, ACL tears you can never get rid of them, but you can limit them the best you can by strengthening your hamstrings. We don't strengthen hamstrings enough.
I know, that's so true.
And it's we do it any type we do a lower body, it's tons of hamstring work. I really don't care how strong your quads are. Because we teach hamstring glute firing off of box. And we try to teach as much as we can straight shin squatting.
I would say this could be also a great add-on to like, what are we lacking in athletic development? And like, I had such a great exercise science teacher at Lakeland. He was so good. And this was like such a big session. And he's like, especially women are so prone to ACLs, and it's all about hamstring strength and like posterior chain strength. Like they say, this is the show side and the back side is the go side. Like that's the stabilizers. Like those are the protective muscles. So strengthen your booty and your hamstrings. That's the thing I'd like to add.
I read Christian Watson from the Packers had torn his ACL and then tore his hamstring. And he went to Madison. I might mess this up, but it was either his left hamstring is 20% weaker and it's shorter than his right hamstring.
Interesting.
And he spent thousands of dollars figuring that out, but it's always his left hamstring that tore, and then his left ACL tore. And you can't really do anything about it being shorter.
That's unlucky.
Yes.
But I do think that there's a pretty big neglect in posterior chain work, all like from top to bottom, honestly. And also just being strong and like eccentric loading will make you resilient. So
do you think reversal strength is important?
What kind of strength?
Reversal strength. So essentially, it's not a real thing, but essentially with bands, catching a rebound out of bands and reversing it fast.
Oh, yeah.
For dynamic strength, I'm talking about.
Actually, one of our coaches did a study on this, and he's like really big into reverse band progressions for CrossFit athletes specifically, and bouncing out dynamically, like where it like just helps you out of the sticking point. Is that what you're talking about? Like bands up top?
Other way around.
Other way around. Oh, reverse bands.
Yep. So overspeed eccentric training.
Okay. Yeah, that's also great too. Both have their place.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do a little bit reverse bands. A lot of our athletes aren't strong enough to use reverse bands.
Yeah.
Because you have to have so much bar load on it.
Yeah.
But Mike Derone, I don't know if you know who that is.
I don't.
He coached wrestling at Lakeland and then left to go to Platteville.
Okay.
He was probably in Platteville when you were in college.
Okay.
And then he was the True Rivers strength coach. And then he left to go back to Lakeland. He's currently Lakeland's head wrestling coach and their strength coach.
Okay. Maybe, I think I might have seen his face, but maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good friends with him. And he actually I have the Westside Barbell Book of Methods book. He borrowed it to do reverse band squats for his volleyball players. And he said, it works great. I said, keep the book, man. I can get another book. But, so it's interesting that is, you see it all over the country, but you don't see it in small schools like Lakeland or Oshkosh and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have an athlete, Chase Mathias, went to Bemidji, and he says, we never train absolute strength. Everything's set to 6, 5 to 6.
Yeah.
And then, so he comes here and we do absolute and dynamic strength days. And he's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, we're managing your load in a week.
Yeah.
If you do heavy 5s 3 days a week, you're going to feel beat up all the time. Yeah. You'll get brutally strong, but you won't be able to move. It's, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think this is where, like, again, I mean, obviously I'm in the CrossFit space, but I love this because it's such a broad spectrum, and then it allows you to, like, maybe you want to specialize in like something, like, because of all the things you were exposed to there. I don't know where I was going to go with that, but yeah, completely. Again, brain dead now.
So growing up or in your life, doesn't have to be growing up. Who's your biggest influence? Who paved the path for Colleen Burke?
Okay, I have 2. So definitely my father, because of his like support and just like doing things differently and making sure that I wasn't a follower. He's like, if you like something, stick to what you like, and don't let anyone make you feel bad about it. And like, I feel like I took that to heart, and it allowed me to like do the things I want to do, or at least try them and maybe fail at them, and that's fine.
Sure.
So I really appreciate him for that. And then the other one would be CrossFit Manitowoc, because I literally would just not be where I am without them. Like, just having a CrossFit gym in Manitowoc allowed me to have a stepping stone to like start to coach and coach frequently, and then realize how much I love CrossFit, and then find Training Think Tank and like get in that mentorship program. So without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
So how did you find Training Think Tank?
I found Training Think Tank. So there was a friend that attended CrossFit Manitowoc, and he was competitive, and he's like, I really think you should get a coach from them. Like, my coach is so great. Like, you should really try them. And I was like, I don't know if I want to spend the money.
Yeah.
Because remote coaches, like, they're pricey, you know? Yeah. But I don't think, I'm like, I wish I would have done it sooner. And I finally like made that leap. Like, when I was stable and out of the military, I was like, okay, I'm going to hire a coach. And like, I should have done it.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
It's life-changing.
It is. It's like such a good investment. Like, I just learned so much about myself, how I move, what I need, and like what my body can handle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I found it, through a local guy here.
Do you feel your dad held you accountable in the things that you've done?
I'm not sure if it's accountable, but because I think he was very like, hey, whatever you choose, I support it. Like, he was just very supportive, and like, it's like, it's okay if you don't want to go in this direction. It's okay if you want to go in this direction. He's like, I don't know if I love what you're doing, but like, I'm going to support you. When I first joined wrestling, he was like, I don't But he's like, okay, well, you started winning, so I started getting more comfortable with it.
Would he push you on the days like you were down? Like say, I'll just give an example. Say you didn't want to go to practice that day, or whatever it was, whatever you were doing, you didn't want to do it. Would he push you to do that day to get you through that hard day? Or more of a support you to go through that hard day?
It was more of like a gentle support, I would say. It wasn't like, you have to do this, but it was like, well, you started it, like you should probably finish it. And like, if you feel bad, like, let's see how you feel tomorrow kind of thing. It was like, let's not make a decision right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was really helpful.
That's something I struggled with my son. He is not an athletic sports kid. It's not his thing. And he made the choice to play football 2 years. And the first year I didn't coach. I was at Denmark High School, so I didn't coach for Two Rivers. And he hated it. He hated football. And I said, Bryson, you signed up. You're going to go. And it was a constant fight every day. So the next year I didn't even bring up football. He wanted to do it again. And he said, will you coach? And I never wanted to coach my own kids. Coached for many years, but I never wanted to do that. They asked me to coach, and that year coaching him was like, I didn't think I'd be as lenient as I was. I thought it'd be super hard, but I'm like, I know he doesn't love it. I just want him to make friends and come
and just have fun.
Yes. Is he going to be a star football player? No. And he said, no, it was fun. It was a great year, but I don't want to do it again. And that's fine. You don't have to. You have to do something, whether it's work or sports or whatever. You have to do something. But that was like a learning year for me. Because I'm super uber competitive. Like, it's annoying.
It's hard to like tone down your personality type. And I think about this all the time with my daughter. I'm like, really cool if she did CrossFit or wrestling. But I'm like, I think all we can do is expose them to a ton of different things, and hopefully something sticks. And like, the big thing is just having fun. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but like another fault I think is making sure people don't specialize too early.
Absolutely.
So that way they don't tie their whole identity to it. You know what I mean? Especially younger. So I think just getting them involved in a ton of stuff is awesome. Like,
I think him stepping away from sports 2 months ago, he said, hey, I want to work out. I never brought it up. And I said, sure. We did it before and it didn't work. And I said, I'll just tell you what to do. Make sure you're not getting hurt. And you just go do it. So I'll just sit in the gym and talk to people, and Bryson, make sure you go press, or Bryson, make sure you go hit triceps, or whatever it is. But he's like, okay. Hey, Dad, can you spot me on the squat? Sure. I'll spot you on a squat. But
it's a good moment right there.
It kind of changed our relationship a little bit. And he probably doesn't care at all, but I care. So
yes, those are good moments. And I think like it's for anything. Like, only they can want it for themselves. Right? Like, even if it's just to try it.
And he just wants to work out because he hates doing it. He hates working out, but he likes how he feels after. And his buddies are getting into working out, and
maybe it'll develop into something more. You never know. So
I did say, so do you want to power lift? He said, absolutely not.
We'll check in year to year.
Maybe when you're 17. But
amazing.
Last question.
How
important is competitive culture to life outside of sports?
Oh, I wasn't ready for that one. How important is competitive culture outside
of sports?
Man, I was just reading a book by Steve Menges about this, and I think this is where like tying your whole identity to something is a mistake. I used to be very competitive, but then when you're so competitive and where it's like only result driven, then you're like, dang, well, like I suck, or like I'm a failure, or like even as a coach at Training Think Tank, like when I first got there, well, I'm like, well, I don't really know all of these things like they do. So like, therefore I'm like not as good as them, you know? So I think there's a place for it, but you need to know when to turn it off and on.
I agree.
And you can like hone into that when the time matters, but then you need to know when to turn it off, step away, and have fun, and like not take yourself so seriously.
Do you think changing your mindset on, if say it's a career and you failed at whatever it was, do you think turning that mindset of, oh, I suck, or, oh, I failed this, into, well, how do I find a new avenue to get there? Do you think that could help?
I think setting expectations for like what success and failures are, and like maybe we don't call them failures, and you kind of redefine what that means for you. Like, okay, well, like didn't go how I wanted to go, but now I know these things, and these things can help me get there. And like, that's just kind of part of the process though. Right. Is like, you have to mess up and you have to learn in order to get where you want to go. And like, you might never arrive there.
Yeah.
But like, I think, you know, messing up is necessary.
I just don't think in life in general, and I used to not think this way because I used to be super negative.
Yeah.
But there's no excuse not to try something.
Yeah.
Whatever it's sports, career, school, whatever it is.
Like,
family,
don't be scared to fail. Like I think that's like the biggest thing too.
Yeah. I fail things all the time.
Yeah. Same.
Daily. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah. That's practice what I preach. Cause I mean, I've definitely been on the other end of the spectrum where it's like, I'd be so hard on myself. And if it wasn't perfect the first time, I'd just be like, oh my God, so dumb.
Yeah.
You know?
I do that to this, like, to this day. I was talking to, I'll leave her name out of it, but I was talking to someone at the gym. She was struggling at a deadlift, and it was like 250, something like that. Pretty heavy.
Yeah.
She's a 300-pound deadlifter.
Yeah.
And she looked at Lewis and I and said, well, it's not heavy like you guys. And Louis looked at her and said, you cannot compare yourself to what we can pull. Yeah. First, we've done this a lot longer than you. Yeah. Second, we outweigh you by 100 pounds almost, maybe.
And how long have you been doing this? Like, you know?
Yeah. A year and a half.
Yeah.
And that's heavy for you. Yeah. And the only reason we get upset is because you pull it and you get halfway up and you quit. You can physically tell when someone quits. Yes. And I don't want you to quit. If you can't get it, you can't get it. That's fine. Yeah. But don't quit. Yeah. I hate that. Yeah, I'm the same way. She turned around and pulled it like it was nothing. And I said, see, you can do it. Like, but to stop comparing yourself to, like, I've never done CrossFit. Yeah. And I would go do a CrossFit movement and you would laugh your ass off at me. Maybe. But I've never done CrossFit in my life. And it's fine. I'd be like, this sucks. I mean, like, I feel like we're a good enough relationship where I'd laugh a little bit, but, you know, like, I'd help you out. Yeah. Teach me how to clean. Yes. That's my favorite thing to teach. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add? Yeah, I have a question for you. What's your favorite lift and what's your 1RM in that lift? My favorite lift? Yeah. Right now, it's the squat. It used to be a bench press. Oh, okay. But I've loved squatting. Because you've worked at it, because you weren't as good at it? I was terrible at it. I could bench more than I could squat and deadlift it. Typical. It was horrible. Yeah. Football player, ex-football player, typical. Yep. My best squat right now is 555. Nice. In wraps. Very nice. And a suit. I did it in a suit. Okay. Raw, it's 545. Damn. I have a little competition with Lewis right now at the end of the holidays. It's the first to 600. And he could hit it right now, but he's about 10 pounds off. Okay. And he weighs 25 pounds less. And when are you testing? It was just like first to 600, like first to 600, and the winner has to buy beers for the night. Okay. Or the loser has to buy beers for the night. So it's win-win. Yeah. Kind of. And depending how wrecked your nervous system is after. We squatted, and I said, "Oh, that was a PR," and he said, "I'm not even sweating yet." I was like, "God damn it, Louis." He is. I don't know if you're a big believer in this. I'm a big believer in training with people that are stronger than you. Oh, 100%. And I have never met anyone outside of national and pro strongmen that are 195 pounds as strong as he is. It's insane. He just benched 400 like it was nothing. That's awesome. And I was like, how do you feel? He's like, I don't know how he did that. And he's 35, and I haven't met him yet. So. He's broke he was going to come. He's at a basketball game. He's the one who stole the camera. Yeah. But he's a freak, and that whole relationship met because I posted on Facebook I needed a weightlifting belt, and I didn't want to buy a new one. These are the best kind of relationships that evolve. And 8 years later, I go to his family's Thanksgiving. So that's awesome. I don't know if he likes it or not. But... Deadlifting, beers, Thanksgiving. Like, what more could you ask for? Yeah. And he pushes me every day. Yeah. To the point, like, remember buddy curls back in high school? You do buddy curls with a straight bar, so you go 1, 1, 2, 2, all the way up to 10, all the way down. Well, we did it with like 115 pounds. It was stupid. And I was glad nobody tore a bicep. He texted me this morning. He said, "Oh, well, I can't straighten my arm right now." I was like, "Yeah, that was dumb. Let's do it again." It's stupid things like that, and it makes it fun. Yes. Because you can't live. You have to keep the fun in it. Or why are you doing it? Like. Yeah, you can't live in this super angry, competitive, screaming mode all the time. So we have a saying, hands in the chalk bowl mentality. Yeah. Like, you're about to go do something that's really heavy or really hard, or do timed reps, which are hard. Yeah. Once your hands go on that chalk bowl, it's time to lock in and do it. Yep. But once you're done, you can't stay in that realm because it'll destroy you mentally.
Yep.
You'll be exhausted. You'll be stressed. So once you hit that lift or fail it, you're done. And then go chill, go joke around with your buddies till it's your time to go again.
Yeah, and like if you're pissed, like we always say this too, like after a competition and someone doesn't do how they wanted them, like put a time cap on your pity party. Like you have 30 minutes, like sulk in it, and then you're done.
He made a good statement. I took second at the state meet, which qualified me for nationals, and I was ecstatic.
Yeah.
Everything was PRs. Everything was great. The whole day went right besides one lift. Should have won it. But and so when I dropped this lift, it was a stone carry. And I dropped it. And that costed me 3 positions. And Louis like, well, doesn't pay to get mad about it now. You can't go back and pick up the stone.
You're right.
He's like, what happened? I stepped too early and it just slipped. It wasn't heavy. I just slipped.
Yeah.
And he said, well, now you got to get podium and go to nationals. So I qualified. And I was ecstatic. I made it. And he said, okay, you can be happy for 12 hours and then you got to train for a year.
Nice.
And I said, oh, okay. And then we trained for an entire fucking year.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. It sucked, but it was great.
Yeah. Yep. You got to go through the hard times because that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
You know,
friendships like that are super important.
Yes.
And he's stuck with me. It's like a marriage. He's stuck with me for the rest of his life. So unless I die, or he dies.
Always need a bro marriage.
Yes. Well, thank you for doing this today.
Thanks for having me again. It was a pleasure.
Where can people find you?
Well, I should give a shout out to Juniper Physical Therapy because I do.
Yes, I did forget about that.
It's okay. I do personal train there a couple times a week and like run their small group strength. So that is specifically for women. So it's kind of a nice change up, a little bit different like demographic than what I'm used to, but like I really enjoy it. So you can find me there. You can also find me at trainingthinktank.com where I do my one-on-one remote coaching and fill out a intake sheet if you're wanting to work with me.
And Juniper is by...
Juniper's in the subway building next to the courthouse.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, I know where that
they're
is.
Inside that.
Yep, that big one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Well, perfect. Well, thank you.
Yep. Appreciate you. I'll have to come in Dark Side Strength soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Do some deadlifting. Can't squat as heavy as you.
Well, I can't deadlift either. So.